This is AM 1100 and 92.3 FM, WZFG, Dilworth, Fargo, Moorhead, USA. It's 4 o'clock.
From the WDAY News Center, this is Ty Schoenert, and it's time for your Flag News Update. News this hour brought to you by Freedom Matters USA. Fargo woman facing charges for allegedly assaulting a police officer. Officers responded to a report on Monday that 39-year-old Amy Goodsky broke into a woman's apartment and began destroying property. Police say Goodsky kicked an officer while being escorted to a squad car and later tried to kick a paramedic. Goodsky was previously charged with assaulting an officer in Williston in 2019. Elderly residents in Minnesota looking for long-term care are being turned away in big numbers because of the workforce shortage.
We need to be able to pay workers more. We need to be able to attract them more. And we need to be able to keep our doors open.
Patty Cullen, president and CEO of Care Providers of Minnesota, says a survey they co-sponsored found older adults in the state were being turned away from assisted living communities and nursing homes 11,000 times in October. Industry leaders, they say, they will use the data to support their requests for more funding from state lawmakers to address the crisis. And a fentanyl bust in Roberts County is the largest in South Dakota history. 2 people were arrested with more than 16,000 pounds of fentanyl and fentanyl-laced pills during a recent traffic stop. Roberts County Sheriff Tyler Apple says an official weight will be taken when the drugs reach a lab. The seized drugs are worth more than $2 million in street value. This is Ty Schoenert with The Flag and AM1100theflag.com. First, the news when you need to know.
My part-time service in the Army National Guard makes it possible for me to be more for the community I call home. I'm a better neighbor because my service has taught me how important it is to be a team player. My training helps me in my classes when I give attention to detail to the task at hand. My service in the Army National Guard allows me to keep my country safe from threats. Learn more about how you too can live and serve part-time by visiting NationalGuard.com.
Sponsored by the North Dakota Army National Guard. Aired by the North Dakota Broadcasters Association and this station.
A verdict. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. Just getting word the jury has a decision in the seditious conspiracy case against the Oath Keepers founder over the Capitol riot. However, they haven't announced the verdict yet. The defense argued there was no plan to attack the Capitol. A big win for Team USA on a must-win day at the World Cup.
It comes into the box again, an Iranian player looking for a penalty, and the game is over.
The U.S. defeating Iran 1-0 on Fox Sports to advance to the knockout round. It happened while President Biden was at an event in Michigan.
USA, USA. That's a big game, man. When I spoke to the coach and the players, I said, you can do this. They went, they did it. God love them.
U.S. soccer officials just announcing, though, that the goal scorer, Christian Pulisic, has been taken to the hospital with an abdominal injury. The president visiting a computer plant in Michigan to call his economic plan a success after holding his first post-midterm meeting with top congressional leaders from both parties. Tomorrow, the House plans to vote on a bill aimed at preventing a rail strike after the president's call to intervene. But there's some bipartisan opposition about forcing unions to accept an agreement that doesn't address paid sick leave.
It's incumbent upon Congress to do everything that it can to protect these workers, to make sure that the railroad starts treating them with the respect and the dignity that they deserve.
Vermont Independent Senator Bernie Sanders, the president argues the broad impacts of a rail strike must be avoided. Parts of the South in line for severe weather, including possible tornadoes and flooding rain.
All the way from the Gulf Coast stretching up into central Indiana, areas where you could see some of that severe weather, but really the bullseye is largely across Mississippi, stretching just a little bit back into Louisiana and then up into Alabama, areas where you could see maybe some of the biggest tornadic activity.
Fox meteorologist Adam Klotz. America is listening to Fox News.
Miss, missed you this morning. Kim told me you weren't feeling well, so I'm just doing a self-care check.
Oh, thank you, friend.
How you doing?
Girl, listen, my energy was so low because I didn't eat breakfast when I got up, so I had to miss virtual yoga with y'all.
Trust me, I understand.
But I'm doing much better now that I've eaten, so I'm back on track.
Great. In that case, let's get some steps in tonight. I'll come over and we can walk around the lake.
Sounds good. Appreciate you being in my business, too. Now, let me get in yours. Did you check your blood pressure today?
I did that and my squats, okay?
Okay.
High blood pressure is not going to be my friend if I can help it. See you at 6?
Let's get it. See you then.
Now more than ever, it's important that we protect our hearts and the hearts of those we love. Check in on one another and be a part of a healthy blood pressure movement. Rally your squad to take the online pledge at releasethepressure.org. Brought to you by the Release the Pressure Coalition and the Ad Council.
Mostly cloudy skies will continue throughout this evening and tonight with windy conditions out of the west 10 to 25 miles per hour and gusting as high as 40 throughout tonight with a slight chance for a few snow flurries. We'll drop down to a low near 12 degrees. For your Wednesday, partly sunny skies and breezy, a northwest wind 10 to 25 and gusting higher at times, but gradually lightening up throughout the day. We'll have highs in the mid-teens and we'll rebound close to 30 on your Thursday. From the Flag Skywatch Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Justin Storm.
These days, we're all looking for ways to save some cash. Have you looked at your insurance? Talk to your Nodak Insurance Company agent because the more you insure with Nodak Insurance, the lower your premiums. Work with one local agent to package your home, autos, or excess liability, everything you care about. Then watch the savings add up. Ask your Nodak Insurance agent how you can save with a multi-line discount. Nodak Insurance Company, agents with answers.
Live from the PetroServe USA studio, it's the Chris Berg Show, your daily dose of truth to help set you free.
Do you believe in miracles? Yes! USA won Iran, and I say that with purpose. Iran 0. So I thought we'd start the show with this. Just had to play that for you. Little USA chant going on as we go on to beat Iran 1-0 in the World Cup. We now move down to the knockout round, the Sweet 16. Boy, we got a lot to get to today's show. And exciting time for the United States of America. As I'm sure you may have heard the news, Iran wanted to get USA kicked out of the World Cup because they had misrepresented the flag on some social media posts. There was an incredible interview, reaction, and a press conference of an Iranian reporter and a USA soccer team player, which we would definitely want to play that for you. Just want to remind you, it's called soccer. Soccer. If you want to call into the show and just share your point of view, your love for the USA winning the World Cup game over Iran, 701-271-1100, 701-271-1100. Here's some from earlier today from the game.
And as the ball comes across, it's Captain America to the rescue for the United States. And he runs right into the goalkeeper at the end of this, but lays it all on the line for his team and for his country and gets his moment. Assist in the first game. And then a goal here with the United States tournament at stake. And it's Christian Pulisic. Right place, right time. And what a header. So brave to get there first. The acceleration through and takes the knee.
So we want to credit Fox Sports, Fox Soccer for bringing us that coverage here on Twitter. And so the Christian Pulisic, I believe is his name, but we just found out just a moment ago he was taken to the hospital as he scored that goal. He ran into the goalie. He's got some abdominal situation going on, so we'll keep you abreast if we have any breaking news there. So I want to tie all this into what's happening right now, just really across the world in this fight for freedom that you and I are in. That is exactly why every single day here on the Chris Berg Show, we are your daily dose of truth to help set you free. Now, just please let those words sink in. We say them a lot here on the show, but let them sink in for a moment. Your daily dose of truth. Now, why does the truth set you free? Because we only can believe what we've been told up to a certain extent. You can only really believe what you've been told up to a certain extent, especially if you are a younger mind. And so I'm going to play a clip where I played this for you a while back, but it's from The Truman Show. Remember The Truman Show, Jim Carrey, and he's in that sort of full-time reality show. And at one point, there's this director, and he's doing an interview with a gentleman, and the director's asked a question, and the director gives a very, very important answer. And I want to play this for you to lay some context what we're going to get to today in regards to this Iranian reporter and the press conference he did with the USA soccer player. Also, You may not remember this, but there was a theme happening here from the first time that our U.S. State Department met with that Chinese delegation up in Alaska as well. And so you want to look at and notice the propaganda that's being propagated, perpetuated, not just here within the United States of America, because we know that you and I are sick and tired of it, but also really across the globe and what is happening there to minimize the light on the hill that the United States of America is. And just for a moment, I want to invite you to ask yourself this question and just imagine this for a moment. Imagine there is no United States of America. Like, what does the world look like if there's no United States of America? What does your life look like? What does your family like? What does your world look like if there's no United States of America to go out there and truly defend freedom? Because it is happening every single day where it is getting less and less and less. And that's why you're seeing a lot of people right now freaking out because Elon Musk buying Twitter suggested yesterday on Twitter, we are going to release the Twitter files that will show the submission of a ton of information during the 2020 campaign. So here is the Truman Show clip I want to play for you to create some context for what we're going to be discussing today. Then later in the show, if we have time, we're going to get to also, we've talked about it here before in the show, but remember the term I've used with you in the past about Operation Mockingbird. It's a CIA operation, Operation Mockingbird. And there's times when I brought this up and some people probably were mocking me for making some suggestions about how the CIA was manipulating the media. Well, we've got a former CIA agent that just lays it out today for you and shows you just how real Operation Mockingbird really is. Here's the Truman Show.
Christoph, let me ask you, why do you think that Truman has never come close to discovering the true nature of his world until now?
We accept the reality of the world with which we're presented. It's as simple as that.
The Hague.
We accept the reality of the world with which we are presented. It's as simple as that. We accept the reality of the world with which we are presented. It's as simple as that. Now, I want to play for you some clips here. Again, this is a presser before, I think it was earlier this week. But anyways, it's an Iranian reporter asking a question of Tyler Adams from the USA soccer team. Listen closely to not just what this reporter says, but obviously Tyler Adams, Black American, does an outstanding job responding. And then I'll share with you the pattern that's happening because it's very similar to what the Chinese delegation said to our State Department up in Alaska back in March of 2021. Iran, China, Iran, China.
You say you support the Iranian people, but you're pronouncing our country's name wrong. Our country is named Iran, not Iran. Please, once and for all, let's get this clear. Second of all, are you okay to be representing a country that has so much discrimination against black people in its own borders? And we saw the Black Lives Matter movement over the past few years.
My apologies on...
So there he goes into the human rights conversation, Black Lives Matter, and think about this, a person from Iran talking about discrimination. A person from Iran lighting up a United States of American soccer player in regards to discrimination and human rights. Now, while this conversation was taking place, there has been protests over in Iran for quite some time now, people being arrested, blood in the streets kind of thing. Do you know why? Simply because there was a woman in Iran that didn't wear her hijab tight enough. She didn't wear her hijab, the thing that they wear over their head, the hijab tight enough over her head. Thus, she broke the Iranian morality code. Thus, was put into prison, since has died, and now you've got these huge, massive protests taking place, and yet a reporter from Iran wants to go out there and lecture somebody from the United States in regards to human rights. The important piece there to notice is how he lays down the Black Lives Matter piece. Again, think about who Iran is. Think about who China is. Not friends, not amigos of the United States of America. Now, depending on who you talk to, obviously, but most of us would agree, Iran, China, not amigos of the United States of America. Now, fantastically, here's how this U.S. soccer player responds in this set-up question from this Iranian reporter.
The mispronunciation of your country. That being said, There's discrimination everywhere you go. One thing that I've learned, especially from living abroad in the past years and having to fit in different cultures, is that in the U.S. we're continuing to make progress every single day. I grew up in a white family with obviously an African American heritage and background as well. So I had a little bit of different cultures, and I was very, very easily able to assimilate in different cultures. So not everyone has that ease and the ability to do that, and obviously it takes longer to understand. And through education, I think it's super important. Like you just educated me now on the pronunciation of your country. So it's a process. I think as long as you see progress, that's the most important thing.
As long as you see progress, that's the most important thing. So kudos to his reaction there. And again, you've got an Iranian reporter lecturing us when it comes to human rights. Pretty stunning when you think about it. But again, I want to go back to the piece where this Iranian reporter brings up the Black Lives Matter aspect and tries to denigrate the United States of America, which we did a wonderful job internally here to denigrate ourselves in regards to discrimination. And we don't need to go through all that history today with the civil rights and what's happened within the Black American community, but you just had a Black American there talk about the progress that's been made within the Black American community. The important thing to realize is the pattern of deterioration, the pattern of pointing the finger at the United States of America. This is back from March of 2021, the very first time that the U.S. State Department ended up having a chance to sit down with the Chinese delegation from their State Department. What's really important to notice here is, keep in mind, not one time did our Secretary of State mention COVID, the origin of COVID in this entire conversation. I mean, it's embarrassing how weak our leadership is these days when it comes to standing up to China. We talked about it yesterday. I've got another clip coming up here that is stunning, that John Kirby, also a spokesperson for the State Department, what he said in a press conference yesterday in regards to where the United States stands for these freedom protesters. I told you yesterday, look, Washington, D.C., the swamp is bought and paid for. They are bought. How many people have you seen today from the swamp speak out against Apple? What Apple's doing to the freedom protesters by locking down or not allowing their freedoms to go out there and communicate with each other through their phones. So here's a little bit from the China's delegation and what they had to say to our own State Department to their face.
The challenges facing the United States in human rights are deep-seated. They did not just emerge over the past 4 years, such as Black Lives Matter. It did not come up only recently. So we do hope that for our two countries, it's important that we manage our respective affairs well, instead of deflecting the blame on somebody else in this world.
I mean, you got to give them guts, right? At least their leadership, even their reporters, are stronger than many of the elected leaders within our own nation. But here you've got China, who just now, as we've seen, basically welding doors down, welding them shut so people that are in these high-rise buildings are not able to get out. And then you lose even young people within a fire, within a high-rise, as they're calling them COVID lockdowns. It's really dictatorship lockdowns. These freedom protests are no longer about COVID. We had a great guest yesterday. I can't even mention her name because she's concerned about retaliation from the Chinese government, but she broke it down. And I believe she was one of the first to come out and talk about this, because there's been others since that have said, look, these aren't really COVID lockdowns. These are simple freedom lockdowns, so that there's not anyone that has the opportunity to come out and overthrow President Xi in this dictatorship. But pretty stunning to see Iran and China throw out the human rights violations suggested against the United States of America, and they do it both in the context of Black Lives Matter. Do you know the name John Kirby, spokesperson for the U.S. State Department? There was a press conference yesterday, and he was asked about these freedom protesters. Now, if you think about America, I asked you the question before, what would the world look like without a United States of America? It's hard to even fathom. I mean, the tyranny that would be taking place across the globe, it's hard to imagine just how tyrannical the world would be without the U.S. of A. So here we've got the spokesperson for the United States State Department asked about these freedom protests. I'm going to play that for you when we come back, and it is shameful and shocking. If you want to email into the show, you can do so. It's studio@chrisbergshow.com. Again, studio@chrisbergshow.com. I want to say thank you so much to Red Wing Shoes. They've got their holiday ultimate durability special going on right now. If you want to go get yourself some Red Wing boots or shoes, they've also got some last-minute gift cards. You can find out more at redwingshoes.com. Again, that's redwingshoes.com.
We're talking with Brenda from Schmidt's Gems and Fine Jewelry in Fargo. Brenda,
Your farm and business depends on a reliable source for energy. PetroServe USA is the customer-owned co-op committed to being a stable source of fuel for your equipment and propane to dry your grain. We have the capacity to make sure you never run out of fuel and to keep prices stable. Dependability, competitive prices, and exemplary service. That's PetroServe USA, helping America fuel better.
USA.
Call today.
Exact right piece, but we also do really well too with technology. So people will bring in their phones or pictures of different things that maybe she's pinned or posted, and it works terrific for us to be able to help them out.
So get them into Schmidt's Gems and Fine Jewelry.
Just have to come on in and we'll take it and make it easy from there.
Make us look like heroes after all those little notes show up, right?
You know what? We like to be the little elves in the corner and then give you guys all the kudos. So that's how this works.
As we get closer to Christmas, are choices more limited?
No, actually, I feel really fortunate that we partner with wonderful designers, and our store right now is absolutely busting at the seams on product. So we really do a great job keeping our inventory looking beautiful and not picked over right up until the 24th of December.
So trust the team of jewelry experts at Schmidt's Gems and Fine Jewelry. They make it easy for you to pick out something she will love. Schmidt's Gems and Fine Jewelry, just south of 32nd Avenue on 42nd Street South in Fargo, or online at schmidtsjewelry.com. Well, President Trump has announced, and now Ron DeSantis is rising fast in the polls. Newsmax is conducting an urgent poll. Do you want Donald Trump or Ron DeSantis as your candidate in 2024? It's a big question. Newsmax wants to know what you think. Vote in the Newsmax poll, Trump versus DeSantis. Just text the word ZONE to 39747. That's ZONE to 39747. It only takes seconds. Let your voice be heard. Every day I tune into Newsmax for news I can trust. They're even beating CNN in some key ratings. So make the switch and vote in Newsmax poll on Trump versus DeSantis. Text the word ZONE to 39747. One more time, the word ZONE to 39747. And make the switch to Newsmax today. You'll love it.
Been looking for a golf cart?
Maybe you're a one.
Been looking for a golf cart for the lake, cabin, or the course? Largest selection of Club Car Onward golf carts within 150 miles is available at All Season Motorsports. 0% financing. That's 0% financing for up to 36 months on 2022 and 23 Club Car golf carts. All inventory must go. Largest selection of club cars at 0% financing. All Season Motorsports off I-94 and Cheyenne Street, West Fargo. Hurry before they're gone.
Welcome back to the Chris Berg Show, your daily dose of truth to help set you free. I love freedom. If you're a truth lover, freedom warrior, you're in the right place. If you don't love truth, you're not a warrior for freedom, probably not the show for you. I want to ask you this. By the way, we're coming to you live from the PetroServe USA studio, speaking about freedom and helping you and America fuel better. Be sure as you're driving around to stop into your local PetroServe USA. Boy, we got some breaking news here I'm going to get to in just a second. PetroServe USA, you can stop by. They've also got the Cafe USA. So as you're filling up the gas tank, you can also go in and grab some burgers, some cookies, some delicious foods to fill up the body as well. All right, breaking news here. This literally just came out. So jury reaches verdict in the Oath Keepers seditious conspiracy trial. I've not had a chance to read this. Literally just hit my phone. Oath Keepers leader Stuart Rhodes was found guilty of seditious conspiracy as a jury reached a verdict in the historic criminal trial of 5 alleged leaders of the right-wing militia group. The reading of the verdict is now ongoing. So Jacob, super producer Chris Larson, if you can find a reading of this verdict, I'd love to play that live to see what they are going to say in regards to the guilty verdict that has been reached. So the Justice Department alleges that the defendants conspired to forcibly stop the peaceful transfer of presidential power from then President Donald Trump to Joe Biden, plotted to attack the U.S. Capitol. Now, they've been convicted by their peers, and I know many of us have got some issues with the U.S. legal system. As many people will tell you, it's not perfect, but it's the best one out there. Now, the jury did acquit some of the defendants of seditious conspiracy, so we'll see if we can get an actual live reading here of this verdict, but I just think it's very interesting, as we've talked before about, as they were trying to change the domestic terrorism laws within the United States of America, what this verdict could do to set a precedence for the future. That is why this decision could be really, really important. So, Jacob, super producer Chris Larson, if you find that, please let me know. What I wanted to get to before the breaking news came out is I want to ask you if you agree with Elon Musk and what you and I are battling right now. You and I both know this is a spiritual battle. And one of the things that they want to do, if they're going to thwart your ability to continue to have real freedom, this is what they do in communist countries, obviously. They get rid of religion. They prevent you from religion because then they can have more control over you. We had a great interview with John Rich a long time ago, and he talked about this thumb of tyranny within the government and why they want to get rid of Christianity, get rid of religion, because if you don't rely on a God, you're going to rely on a government. Then they've got more and more power over you. So do you agree with Elon Musk? Number to call into the show, 701-271-1100. Again, 701-271-1100. Elon Musk tweeted out yesterday, "This is a battle for the future of civilization. If free speech is lost, even in America, tyranny is all that lies ahead." Again, if you missed yesterday's show, go back and listen to it at chrisbergshow.com. Again, that's chrisbergshow.com. Outstanding interview with somebody that did live for quite some time in China and talked about why the solitary confinement piece was so important in regards to COVID. Because you couldn't sit around with people. Yes, you've got phones. I get all that. But you couldn't just sit around with people and converse. If you go back to the origins of the revolution within America, I mean, you had small groups of people going into bars, going into places and having conversations about what they were going to do to organize to overcome the tyranny. When they put you in solitary confinement, like many of us were, that's where the tyranny begins. So Elon Musk says this is a battle for the future of civilization. Now, I don't necessarily agree that Elon Musk bought Twitter completely for benevolence and free speech. Only time will tell. But the important thing for you to understand, to see the patterns, and we mentioned this yesterday, was how we went to China with Nixon thinking that, hey, if we can bring capitalism to China, think about what we can do to restore freedom within China for many, many people. That I'm presuming that was the intention, right? I wasn't in Nixon's brain, but that's my presumption. The sad thing that we're finding is that when you get into government, we can see it blatantly today. That thirst for power becomes unquenchable. It's unquenchable. And so they want to obviously have more and more centralized power. So rather than having capitalism and freedom go to China, what's happening is that China is buying and paying off sports leaders, elected leaders, industry leaders, I mean, all across the United States of America, where now you've got more of the CCP bleeding into our borders than we are bleeding into their borders. And I say that with some certainty because of what the spokesperson for our State Department, John Kirby, said yesterday in a press conference.
What is the president's reaction when he hears protesters in China chant freedom or Xi Jinping step down?
The president's not going to speak for protesters around the world. They're speaking for themselves.
And so there's no reaction?
These protesters are speaking for themselves. What we are doing is making it clear that we support the right of peaceful protest.
The protesters are speaking for themselves. Haven't we spent $60 billion to prop up the corrupt government of Ukraine because they're on the side of freedom and democracy, even though it's not a free or democratic country. But that's the pretext. We're for freedom. But here you have people saying, hey, I don't want to be thrown in a concentration camp or starve to death in my own apartment. And the Biden administration can't even take their side? Really? They speak for themselves? They don't speak for the U.S. government? The U.S. government doesn't stand for basic human rights anymore? Really? John Kirby? You should be ashamed of yourself. It's hard to believe that's real. It is real. And
that, of course, Tucker Carlson, and he's exactly right. So just take a step back. Look, I know there's a lot going on in your lives. I get you've got a lot of things to focus on. But just ask yourself, why would we give $60 billion to Ukraine to fight for freedom? Why would we even remotely entertain? Because there are reports out there that it would have been very easy to end this Russian invasion where everybody could have got what they wanted, right? Russia keeps Crimea. There's no more invasion into Ukraine. But they keep trying to pull Ukraine or NATO countries into the situation, obviously then to initiate World War III. Why with Russia? And why give $60 billion to Ukraine, but yet we can't have a simple stance from the podium to say, yeah, we stand for freedom. We stand for these people that want to have a right to say what they want to say and not get locked into buildings with welded doors and die in fires. Why would we do that? Maybe tie FTX into it. I don't want to be super explicit here. There's enough breadcrumbs for you to figure it out. We've got a really, really smart audience here. But you got to start to look at $60 billion to Ukraine, and we can't, from the podium, say, yeah, we stand for freedom in China? So I bring this up because, again, I started with an Iranian reporter denigrate United States of America, human rights. Then you've got China using the same playbook, actually probably laying the playbook out for the Iranian reporter because the Chinese did it long ago. Then you've got John Kirby that can't stand up for freedom. And now I want to play for you Steve Kerr from 2019, head coach for the Golden State Warriors basketball team, and what he had to say to denigrate the United States of America.
In terms of people asking me about it, people discussing it, no. Nor has our record of human rights abuses come up either. People in China didn't ask me about, people owning AR-15s and mowing each other down in a mall. I wasn't asked that question. The world is a complex place, and there's more gray than black and white.
So I wonder if you'd say if someone asked them a question, but hey, how do you feel about the Chinese government literally welding a door shut, having a building burn, and 10 people die, one of them a young kid? Is that okay? Because the number one thing that ultimately is preventing the Chinese people from overthrowing this regime is they don't have Second Amendment rights. What if in China they had Second Amendment rights? Would that make a difference? Would that put at least a little bit more fear within the Chinese government to not just go weld a building shut and have 10 of their citizens die in a fire? Does it get any more grotesque than that? You may have heard the news that I mentioned just a little bit ago that Apple now is preventing these freedom protesters to communicate with their phones in a certain way with I think it's called iDrop or Apple Drop or something like that. I don't even know exactly what it's called, but they're preventing these freedom protesters from communicating easily that way. And Ron DeSantis has stood up and spoke. And I also want to play some more about Ricky Gervais back in the day, lighting up CEO Tim Cook of Apple to share with you just the thumbs of tyranny that you and I are fighting against. I mean, it is going to take prayer after prayer after prayer to win this battle, and that ideally God can change some of these people's hearts. That and much more coming up right after this.
Mostly cloudy skies will continue throughout this evening and tonight with windy conditions out of the west, 10 to 25 miles per hour, and gusting as high as 40 throughout tonight with a slight chance for a few snow flurries. We'll drop down to a low near 12 degrees. For your Wednesday, partly sunny skies and breezy, a northwest wind 10 to 25 and gusting higher at times, but gradually lightening up throughout the day. We'll have highs in the mid-teens and we'll rebound close to 30 on your Thursday. From the Flag Skywatch Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Justin Storm.
After 38 years of serving the FM area, the Hobby Hut is closing its doors. They are having a going out of business sale, and that means great deals on super Christmas gift ideas, like radio-controlled cars and trucks. For beginners all the way up to high-tech, high-speed vehicles. Tons of plastic models, including popular Gundam model kits. Find model trains, puzzles, and games. The going out of business sale with great deals for Christmas at the Hobby Hut between IHOP and Home Depot, just off 45th Street and 17th Avenue South in Fargo.
Hey, Chris Berg here. Do you feel hungry? Maybe you need some fuel for your body, your vehicle. If so, then you need to stop into your local PetroServe USA, where you can also go into their Cafe USA. Get some hot stuffed pizzas, some fresh burgers, some roasted chicken, appetizers, and so much more. It's a perfect place right now to fill up your car and your body at your local PetroServe USA with a Cafe USA. PetroServe USA, helping you and America fuel better.
Now more than ever, it's important to support companies and organizations that share our values. Patriot Mobile not only shares our beliefs, but actually does something about it. America's only Christian conservative wireless carrier. And they donate a portion of every dollar to organizations that fight for causes you care about. Switch to Patriot Mobile now. Get free activation with the code FLAGFAMILY. Switching is easy. Go to patriotmobile.com/flagfamily. patriotmobile.com/flagfamily or call 972-PATRIOT. 972-PATRIOT.
Reveille, wake up, stand up. Let's elevate America. Join me at ndflagpoleguide.com and our patriots in raising America to a level of excellence. Strength through peace and love will be our creed. Let us return to the basics of what has made our country great. Accountability to a creator, ourselves, and those in our lives is vitally important to a civil, free country. I'm Jim, I'm ndflagpoleguy.com, and thank you.
Got a new truck or SUV that you want to protect? Extreme Detailing does a great job with ceramic coatings, and you can bid on a ceramic coating for your new truck or SUV valued at $1,399. Bids begin 7 a.m. Thursday on the Flag Big Deal site. Starting bid is $200, and this ceramic protection plan from Extreme Detailing provides 5 years of warranty exterior protection. For your chance to bid, go online, am1100theflag.com, and see the Big Deals page. Bids begin Thursday, 7 a.m.
Welcome to Soybean Minute, your source for timely soybean news.
I'm North Dakota Soybean Council Director Chris Brozard of Wolford. We are now awarding grants to North Dakota middle and high school teachers up to $500 to support lessons related to soybeans or soy products. This new program helps students learn more about North Dakota soybean farmers and the industry, along with building awareness around career opportunities in agriculture. Applications can be submitted through the 2022-2023 school year. Grants are limited and will be awarded on a first-come, first-served basis. Funds can be used for materials associated with projects that help students to learn more about soybeans, soybean-related products, soybean research, soy innovations, and soy as part of health and nutrition. To learn more and apply, visit ndsoybean.org or call our office at 701-566-9300.
This message is brought to you by the North Dakota Soybean Council and the Soybean Checkoff.
Welcome back to the Chris Berg Show, your daily dose of truth to help set you free. We've got some breaking news coming out of NDSU, North Dakota State University. We'll talk about that coming up in the D block, so stay with us for some breaking news on that coming up at 4:52. I want to continue our conversation here with what's happening as far as your freedoms or lack thereof and the importance of really understanding what's going on with the suppression of media, the suppression of information, the suppression of the truth. I started the show off with this. I just want to re-presence us to it because I'm going to get into Ron DeSantis today, speaking about Apple shutting down the apps, possibly removing Twitter from the App Store. Look, I said it yesterday. Elon Musk shared with us he's going to release these Twitter files. I don't know what they're going to say, but you and I are smart enough to realize that if he's going to really, truly release these Twitter files, there's some form of collusion going on. We've already seen the DHS report about these portals that the DHS had access to with Facebook and Twitter to take down information that they didn't like. That's where we're at. I mean, it is on the precipice, if not already, 1984. And again, you've got more of the CCP infiltrating our borders than we are infiltrating theirs from a freedom perspective. So again, just to represent you to this is from The Truman Show. We accept the reality of the world with which we are presented. Very important to understand this. I mean, in your soul, what's being said here in regards to the world we're living in today.
Christoph, let me ask you, why do you think that Truman has never come close to discovering the true nature of his world until now?
We accept the reality of the world with which we're presented.
I was talking to my friend yesterday that spent a lot of time in China. And they had people in China, because of what they were told about the United States of America, saying, they were like, give me the real skinny in the USA. Like, are all these people really starving? Are all these kids really starving? Because that's what we're told here. We accept the reality of the world with which we are presented. This is why we'll continue to share with you here on the show, probably till the day I die. Trust God and your guts. Because right now, they're essentially saying to you, look, we've seen this before with what the media is doing. Like, don't even believe your eyes. Remember the guy from MSNBC that was like, yeah, everything seems pretty cool here in Minneapolis right now. And right behind him, a building is burning. He's like, things seem like they're under control here. And like, literally right behind him, it was what's the movie, Naked Gun? Oh, there's nothing to see here. It was stunning to watch that quote unquote report. But that's where we're at today. And I'm going to share with you more about that in a minute from Operation Mockingbird. First, here is Ron DeSantis about Apple, Twitter, and more.
Reports that Apple is not allowing the protesters to use this airdrop function where they're trying to communicate. That obviously is providing aid and comfort to the CCP. And so you see that report, and that's very concerning. And then when you also hear reports that Apple is threatening to remove Twitter from the App Store because Elon Musk is actually opening it up for free speech and is restoring a lot of accounts that were unfairly and illegitimately suspended for putting out accurate information about COVID. That's like one of the main things that's being reinstated. So many things these experts were wrong at, and you had people on Twitter that were calling that out. And Twitter, the old regime in Twitter, their response was to try to just suffocate the dissent. And Elon Musk knows that's not a winning formula, and so he's providing free speech. And so if Apple responds to that by nuking them from the App Store, I think that would be a huge, huge mistake. And it would be a really raw exercise of monopolistic power that I think would merit a response from the United States Congress. And
so that would merit a response to the United States Congress. This news has been going around now for the last, couple days or so? Have you seen one elected GOP senator, congressperson say what Ron DeSantis just said? Has there been one elected GOP senator or congressperson that's come out and said what Ron DeSantis just said? I haven't seen it. Again, you got to ask yourself, why not? Why aren't these people speaking up for freedom of speech? It's the First Amendment. It's the very first thing in our quote-unquote Bill of Rights. Now, if they've said it, kudos to those people that have. I have not seen it. We've got breaking news coming up in the next segment, so I have to play this for you because I've talked about this before. Operation Mockingbird. If you have any questions about it, there's old actual congressional testimony. I believe it was in the House where they had people there from the CIA asked about, hey, do you guys kind of plant reporters or do you plant people within the media newsroom to bring stories out that you want to have obviously see the light of day? The person would not answer the question in a public format. So I'm going to play this for as much as we can. This is a former CIA agent talking about how he would manipulate and work with different media assets. Now, if you're in the media, and obviously I am, so I can speak to this, like you're trying to get the first story. You're trying to break news. You're trying to make yourself look like, hey, look, I know what's going on here. I know more than you do. I've got these great assets, if you will, that are feeding me intel, and so I'm beating you to the punch. But oftentimes these reporters didn't know that they were being fed bad information. Now, if you want to find out who's the mole in your company, who's the mole in your family, who's the mole in your community, what do? If you want to find out who's the mole within your community, within your company, within your, whatever it is, family, go on down the list of people that you know, what do? Chris Larson says you give them bad information. You give them bad information. Or you give them certain information. But that's how you find the leak. That's how you find the leak. So with that being said, here's a former CIA agent talking about his relationships with reporters.
If I planted a piece of information with a reporter, I would ordinarily then try to create an environment in which he could not check the information. I would go to the British ambassador and brief him on the disinformation I had just given the reporter. So when the reporter wanted to cross-check what I'd told him with, say, the British ambassador, New Zealand ambassador, or what have you, he would get false confirmation, the same message coming back at him. He'd say, aha, I've got proof that Frank Snepp told me the truth, when in fact, what he'd gotten was simply an echo of what I'd given him in the first place, via the British ambassador or other of our friendly diplomatic contacts.
Do you get that? So he's creating circular information. He's creating circular information there so that as this reporter thinks he's got some inside intel, then he goes to the British ambassador and other assets, if you will, and says, hey, I'm just curious, is this kind of line up with what you've got here? The guy's already beaten him to the punch. He's already told his people, this is what you're going to tell him, this is what you're going to say to him. And then, of course, and this guy used the perfect word there, the reporter goes, aha, this dude's telling me the truth. He doesn't know, but he's got social proof now. It's called social proof when people start to agree with the story. So now he's got other people that are confirming his own bias, his own confirmation, which leads me back to this.
Christoph, let me ask you, why do you think that Truman has never come close to discovering the true nature of his world until now?
We accept the reality of the world with which we're presented.
Dude totally set him up. CIA guy completely set him up, knowing exactly that quote. We accept the reality of the world with which we are presented. This person goes out, thinks he's doing the right thing, checking different sources. Hey, do you know this? Do you know that? Everything lines up. And he just accepts it as truth. Even though the whole time he's being psyoped. Sound familiar? This is where we're at. I know it's mind-bending. I know it's frustrating. I honestly believe in my heart of hearts that if you and I really knew the truth, look at Balenciaga, the lack of people speaking up there with what's going on there with basically child pornography, Satan worship. Mum's the word in Hollywood. People are bought and paid for. How can you stay mum? How can you stay mum when you know what's happening to young kids behind closed doors and you don't say anything because of a paycheck? Because you want your picture in a magazine? We accept the reality of the world with which we are presented. There's a whole nother world that is not being quote unquote presented to you and I that you got to start to ask some questions about. And I think you and I both know, I mean, everybody I talk to, they know in their gut something's not right. Like you just know it, but that's where you've got to start to ask yourself better questions. And because of what's going on here in the PSYOP, many people have got anxiety. So if you want to dissipate that anxiety, or maybe it's depression, you're not sleeping right, I want to encourage you to check out Siriset of Fargo. Give them a call. They'll call them up. It's a free kind of just over-the-phone evaluation. Find out if it's a good fit for you and for them. And the number to do so is 701-566-5231. Again, 701-566-5231. Breaking news coming up right after this.
70% of your body is water. Does it make any sense to put bad water back into your system for your health? Hi, it's Scott Hennon here from my friends at Lindsay Echo Water. We have a full water treatment system in our home, a reverse osmosis system with mineral add back and a pH boost. It's fantastic. Some people are more worried about what gas they put in their cars rather than the water they drink. Make that a thing of the past for you. LindsayEcoWater.com. LindsayEcoWater.com or call 218-233-8655.
North Dakota is a special place.
Oil and gas supports more than 60,000 jobs in the state of North Dakota.
And the industry is vital to our economy, adding nearly $4 billion in state and local tax revenues.
Why would we buy oil from dictators when we have it right here? We produce it the cleanest, the greenest of anywhere in the world.
Keep creating great jobs, and right here in North Dakota.
We support North Dakota Oil and Gas.
Paid for by American Experiment, North Dakota. AmericanExperimentND.org.
My family got a vehicle donated to us. It was the most amazing feeling driving home knowing we were safe.
Hi, this is Matthew with Fix It Forward Ministry. This November, we're raising Dollars to Drive. All donations in November will be matched up to $50,000, helping us to impact more lives, provide hope, and reach goals by solving transportation issues for those in need in our community. To get your donations matched, visit FixItForwardMinistry.com and click on the blue Donate Money button. Fix It Forward Ministry, driven to serve.
You've heard me talk about MyPillow and the good night's sleep that I get. Well, guess what? Mike Lindell continues to roll out offers on his products. His latest on the towel set. Towels aren't something you think about often. I tell you, I never knew what I was missing until I tried the towels last year. Mike Lindell has done it again, now changing the game with his 6-piece towel set. This set is made with USA cotton, making it extremely absorbent, yet still providing that soft feel you look for in a towel. The set comes with 2 bath towels, 2 hand towels, and 2 washcloths, typically retailing for $89.98. For a limited time, get this set for the low price of $39.98 with the promo code SCOTT. Remember, all MyPillow products come with a 60-day money-back guarantee. Just go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio listener specials. Get this insanely low price of $39.98 on the 6-piece towel set. You'll find deep discounts on other MyPillow products, too. Enter promo code SCOTT or call 800-506-9028 for these great specials.
Veteran and locally owned since 1932, Action Movers is North Dakota's largest and oldest mover. Whether you're moving across the street or across country, Action Movers will make your move easy by handling every detail from start to finish. From packing, loading, transporting, storage, or even do-it-yourself with a Go Mini container delivered to your driveway, they truly have every solution for your move, accommodating all budgets. Get a moving quote today and mention Scott to save 10%. Call them at 701-566-5532 or visit actionmovers.com to set your appointment.
Welcome back to the Chris Berg Show, your daily dose of truth to help set you free. Just want to remind you, it is soccer, and we did win today. USA beats Iran, and I ran. Remember that song by Flock of Seagulls? I ran so far away. Yeah, that was a good one. So 1-0. They go on to the knockout round, Sweet 16, and they play the Netherlands coming up on Saturday morning. So we had some breaking news here coming out of NDSU, the one and only Tom Tucker, WDAY Flag Family Media reporter, joins us now to give us a lowdown. He was at this presser earlier today. Tom, always great to see you.
You as well, Chris.
What do you have for us? Or other than a USA chant, maybe. So
USA. And thanks for that soccer update. I appreciate that. You've been following the story. You were at the last press conference that Dr. David Cook called at NDSU to kind of talk about this cost-cutting process that the university is now going through. Well, today he called a second press conference just to kind of update us on the efforts to reduce the overall budget in response to declining enrollment. And the big headline that came out today was that Dr. Cook said after getting feedback, the first round of feedback from various academic leaders and deans of various departments, that one proposal involves possibly reducing the number of colleges at the university, the different colleges that make up the university as a whole, from the current number of 7 down to, as Dr. Cook put it, 4 or 5 colleges to achieve cost and operating efficiencies as he describes it. Now, the budget reduction number that we're talking about is about 5.5% over the next couple of years or so in terms of the amount of money that needs to be cut. I don't recall the exact total budget off the top of my head, but that's the percentage that we're looking at in terms of the budget. So that's the big headline today, that the number of colleges, could be reduced. So when we talk about colleges, it's like, the College of Ag, the College of Business, College of Engineering, Health Sciences, and there are a few others. So the plan now is to continue collecting feedback from the various academic leaders and deans over the next few weeks. And Dr. Cook says he anticipates maybe having a final, more detailed budget cutting proposal by sometime in January.
So just so I'm understanding correctly, because I don't know all these 7 colleges either, but College of Ag, College of Engineering, blah, blah, blah. In other words, departments, he's suggesting, hey, we're going to go from 7 to maybe 4 or 5.
Correct.
To reach this 5% budget reduction that we need.
That is correct.
Which is amazing when you think about it, because he's going to eliminate less than, 20%. I mean, only two of these departments, less than 20% to get a 5% reduction. Like those numbers, I don't know them obviously, but it just seems skewed, right? Like, well, that's a lot of cuts for just 5%.
Well, that's one way of looking at it. All I can do is just kind of report the information and share the facts. I really don't want to speculate in terms of, what numbers are appropriate and what numbers may not be. But to a casual, third-party observer, maybe it could be argued that that's a fair point. What's also been interesting through this process, and you witnessed this as well because you were also at that first meeting about a month or so ago, I think, when Dr. Cook was kind of updating this budget cutting process, is that he is putting a very positive spin on this, and perhaps rightly so. That's perhaps what he needs to do as the leader of the university. But he talks about how, this is an exciting opportunity, as he puts it, to position the university for success in the future in terms of determining what the workforce needs are in the state and lining up academic programming to make sure that those workforce needs are met, and maybe doing away with majors that maybe are high cost but have fewer students that may not have as much bang for the buck for the university, if you will.
Very well done. I don't want to put you inside of opinion stuff that I want to get to here in a moment in regards to it, because I saw an interesting article recently where now you've got a lot of companies that are like, don't really need people with college degrees. Like, we'll just take you. If you can have the right kind of skill set, you're the right fit for our corporate culture and whatnot, hey, we'll take you, because they need workforce, and college degrees now no longer a precursor for a lot of companies out there that are looking at different ways to get around this workforce problem. And I think that's where, I don't know if you want to comment on that.
Yeah, and thanks, Chris. And I think we would agree that, and it's certainly obvious that college is not for everyone, especially with the skyrocketing cost of tuition nowadays. You got so many kids coming out now saddled with huge amounts of debt and having a tough time maybe finding work in their chosen field.
Well, and I will give Dr. Cook a lot of credit, because there are some presidents, I think, that would say, you know what, let's just try to keep all the departments here and we'll just jack up tuition and just let these kids pay for it. What do I care? Because, and I'm not saying Dr. Cook is saying this, but there's been presidents in the past where we've had such abhorrent rates of people graduating from our universities here in North Dakota, where you had 25-30% of the students coming in as freshmen having to take remedial courses just to get caught up. Yeah. And a lot of times these kids would drop out halfway through their sophomore year or whatnot. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that the college president did or didn't care. My point is they already got the money.
Well, Dr. Cook appears to be taking a very pragmatic approach to this, and I will editorialize here a little bit. It appears as though he's doing a good job of getting buy-in from the various deans and academic leaders, getting their input to make sure everybody is bought into this. And he has said again today that this is not a surprise to him, right? Colleges and universities across the country are dealing with this issue. They're all having to cut budgets and reduce costs, and he was aware of this coming into it. So he appears to be taking as good approach to this as he possibly can at this point.
If you're just joining us, Tom Tucker is with, gosh, time flies. I love having you on. Tom Tucker, WDAY Flag Family Reporter, giving us some breaking news here. NDSU going to be reducing, it sounds like, some departments there up at NDSU to meet these budget cuts and the decreasing enrollment, which again, as Tom just alluded to, is happening across the country. So we'll see how this bears out, especially as we get into the legislative session come January. This is the Chris Berg Show. Thank you, Tom Tucker. We love you. Have a great day. We'll see you back here tomorrow at 4 p.m.